Kate with New Beginnings Healing Ministry, and you're watching episode 6 of Fiat, the resounding yes that will transform your life. In today's episode, I will be sharing stories about the grotto that I built back in 2013. Now, in 2011, that is when I heard Our Lady's voice audibly, and she asked me to create this special place for her, and she would protect it. So I didn't really know what that meant at the time, and if you watched the last episode, I shared some stories on how I started going to adoration, and little by little it was revealed to me what I was supposed to build and what I was kind of supposed to do, what I was called to do. So going back to the time of building it, long story short, there were pretty significant things that happened. I hate to be the one, a miracle, but I mean, it was. I saw water multiplied. I never thought I would see that. I still can't believe that I saw it. I'm really thankful I had somebody with me that also witnessed it. So I'll share that story too. But, just getting into all of that, at the time I didn't know how to build any type of structure at all. I didn't do any research. I should have. I'm not saying that's the way to go about things, but I just felt that I was told what to do, and it was like the more I didn't know, the better it was. Because if I knew what I was being called to do, I don't think I would have done it, because I would have known it was going to take a lot more work than I thought. So I was really, really praying, and when I asked about, what statue should I do, I told you I was scared to choose a Mary statue, any statue. I didn't want a life-size statue in my yard. And so I was hesitant, but I was shown this image of Our Lady, and I had never seen it before. And I know many of the Marian devotions, the titles, things like that. And this one I didn't know. And it was Mary holding baby Jesus, and they had their crowns on, and Mary had a scepter, and I had never seen that. So I started searching for one, couldn't find it, and I mean, it took months. So I just started building it, and I kept praying, please provide this, please provide that, because we were saving for a business at the time, and I did not want to ask my husband to spend money on something that I felt called to build. And so we started basically we had to build, dig out the area where I was going to build it. And I asked my husband to do that, and he goes out and he is trying to dig it out. And it was in the middle of July or August. And I mean, it was, like he said, concrete. Like he hit the ground and a little bit of dirt fell over, and that was it. I tried, and I don't even know why I tried, but I guess I thought God was going to work through me and really make it easy, but it didn't happen. So that was the end of that. And he was really upset, and he started saying a few choice words, and I'm like, not here, this might be like a holy place, just go to the other side of the property. And the whole time I'm thinking, I have to be going insane. I have to. Like, this is just, like, for me to be thinking like this, it's just crazy. So he ended up not doing anything at all. He left, and that was the end of it. And I just said, okay, Mary, I thought you wanted this done. It was like I had this sense of urgency. It was like being pregnant, and that, okay, now it's time to go to the hospital. It was like that. I had been told in 2011, and I didn't do anything for 2 years until all of a sudden it was time. So the next morning, I woke up at 7:30 in the morning to my husband standing beside my bed, completely drenched in sweat. And I thought he took a shower with his clothes on. I mean, I was so out of it, I didn't understand what I was seeing. And he sat down on the side of the bed, and he was just like, I can't believe it. And I'm like, what? He's like, the ground, it was like butter. Now, it had not rained, it had not done anything. And he said that it was completely like butter. And I'm just thinking, butter, that's so, but he's, to this day, he admits that it was way too easy to dig out. And he's like, I thought it was going to take hours. I set my alarm because I guess he felt bad with how he wasn't being very helpful the day before. And he said his alarm, he went out and he said he finished it in 20 to 30 minutes. And it, like I said, it was like butter. So that was that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Now I can start working. So I went and I got a bunch of cinder blocks, and I was going to build this big structure on top of cinder blocks. Like, clearly I did not know what I was doing. I called my dad. He came over. He's looking at it. He's like, man, Kate, I have no idea. But I don't think this is going to work. And just as he said that, this butterfly came down over his head, and it was just, flying everywhere. We all kind of watched it, because after we lost Dan, butterflies would come at just the craziest times. And this butterfly is just going along, and it lands on one of the cinder blocks. And he's like, why don't you go ahead and call John? And John is a family friend, wonderful man. He did so much for our family just over the years. He was my coach all through grade school. His wife, everybody's just a truly wonderful family. And he also built the memorial for my brother when he died in 2009, just a water fountain in front of school. And so he said he would come out and check it out. And the first thing he said was, you need to get all those cinder blocks and get them out of here. And he's like, we'll pour some concrete, and I'll be able to do it in 3 weeks. And I'm like, oh, that's not, that's too long. Like, I need to get it done now. But I didn't say that. So I prayed again. I said, Mary, no, this is not okay. Like, please change it if it's really that urgent. The next morning I was out running errands, and my husband called. And I didn't even tell my husband that I had John coming over to do this at some point, because I thought it would be in 3 weeks. And so he called, and he just said, Kate, what is a massive concrete truck doing in our yard right now? Like, how much is this going to be? What are they doing? What did you ask them to do? And he wasn't mad. He was just like completely confused. And I just thought, oh my, like, he's there? I can't believe he's there. He's like, yeah, he's here. And what are they doing? And I don't know. He's going to pour some concrete. So by the time I called him, he said, yeah, it's all done. It's poured. You can start building on top of it. I said, okay, how much do I owe you? He said, nothing. Like, oh my gosh, okay, thank you so much. And then it came time for rock. I needed rock, and I didn't want to buy any. So started praying for that. The next morning, I was dropping my daughter off at my parents' house. And as we were getting on the highway, my husband and I noticed that they were doing some construction, and they were like blasting the big areas of rock. And when we came home, we saw it was all on the side of the road. And I had been praying, like, Lord, if we're supposed to get those rocks that are now on the side of the road, like, I don't want to be stealing to build something holy. So if you want to tell me or make sure that I'm not going to get in trouble, that would be great. And so I see all these rocks on the side of the road, and there was a couple picking up rocks, putting them in their trailer, and there was a cop across the street at the gas station watching all of it and just looking around, no big deal. So I knew that it was safe. I could go get it. So my husband, thankfully, he got the trailer hooked up. We went back out. I brought a cousin with me, and we just picked up rocks for hours and took them all back, put them out, and then my husband left for work. So I had my brother come over, and he was helping with just house stuff, maintenance, things like that. And at the time, I think he was 16, 17, 18, something like that. And the thing was, he was going to mix the mortar, which was a half a bag of mortar to a full jug of water. And I mean, that's all that I had. Like, I would have to refill it to finish it. And when I set out to do this, to work, I saw myself getting 2 levels done. So that's what I was shooting for. And after he mixed it, he left. He said, call me back down, and I'll mix the next half, the rest of it, and you can keep going. And I'm like, okay, thank you so much. And he goes up, and as he's driving up back towards my house, I saw my phone on the back of the tailgate all the way up, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm not going back up. I'm not going to walk to the house in 100-degree weather and keep going. I'm just going to be done. And deep down, I knew that I was being disobedient, but whatever. So I'm working, everything like that, and just as I was finished, the water, there was about 2 inches left in this huge jug of blue water, about 2 inches left. And I thought, oh, I should call him back down. And it was like, no, I'm too lazy. I can't do that. And right as I turned around, he was there. He just walked down for whatever reason. And he said, okay, are you ready for me to go ahead and mix that? And I thought, no, I think I'm done. He's like, did you already fill it? And I looked down in it, and it was 2 inches full. And when he said, did you fill it? I looked down, and it was almost half full. And I'm like, no. And I knew that was way more water than I originally saw. But I didn't want to be like, a miracle, make it a big deal. And so I didn't say anything. And then he's like, well, do you want me to just mix it? And I'm like, no, I'm done. Just, wash off the tools. That'd be great. Thank you. And he goes down to grab it. And I'm not kidding you at all. Like, he drops the bottle, the jug. He jumps back and he's like, what is going on? And I'm just thinking, what do you mean? What? And I look down, and it was over 3/4 of the way full. I mean, it was almost full. And I just remember thinking, what is going on? Like, that water just went from 2 inches to almost full. And he saw it, and I saw it. And I'm just like, it's because I'm not done. Just mix it. And he's like, totally in disbelief. And he's pouring the water out. And he just keeps saying, I just can't believe this. What is going on? I cannot believe this. And he actually left, and he told like 2 or 3 of my aunts. He stopped by their houses on the way home because he was shocked, And so I finished what I had set out to do. And, after they poured the concrete, he said, go ahead and call me when you're ready to do the arch. And I said, okay. So I was at that point where I needed to do the arch. And again, he said, oh, I'm going to be out of town. I'll be there in 3 weeks. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. So I prayed about it. Long story short, he had a guy come out at 7:30 the next morning, did the archway. I was able to just keep going, and I needed one more rock for the middle. So I was praying, I'm looking, and at this point, it's slim pickings. I mean, I had used almost every rock, and I'm looking for a certain size, certain width, and I'm looking down, and they had all settled in the ground because it had rained, over the couple months that I was working. And again, I was praying to my brother, Dan, and I just said, Dan, help me find a stupid rock. Like, I'm almost done. I just want to be finished. And again, this butterfly comes out over my head, caught my attention, and I'm following this butterfly. And again, just because it was so weird, the timing, I decided to watch it, see where it landed. It lands on a rock, and the rock looked about this big. And I needed one like that big. And I just thought, oh, that's cute, but that's not going to work. We had always done art projects together, so I felt like this was kind of our art project. And so I just kept asking him for help, and the butterfly just kept sitting there. So I'm like, maybe I should just pick it up. I went over, and I couldn't get it out of the ground. It had just sunk inches into the ground. So I dug it out a little bit, and I pull it out, and it is a perfectly shaped rock. It not only was the right, length, but it had this shape where, it went in the middle of the grotto on the arch, and it went up, and then it was pointed at the top. So it was even more perfect than what I was trying to do. And again, I never took any measurements during this. I never, in fact, I was trying to tell my husband what I was picturing, for building it. And he was just like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. And I went to Walgreens, and I bought Play-Doh that was like $6, way overpriced. And I built this what I was picturing. And he's like, yeah, good luck with that. And I laughed too, because it's like, this is insane. And so then it came time for the statue. And I thought, shoot, I should have probably gotten a statue before I built this grotto. So then I did get a measuring tape out, and I measured to see how tall, from the ground to the top of the arch, to see what size statue I could get. And like I said, I had been searching this whole time for this particular statue that was in my head, and I could never find anything. And I ended up going to this women's evening of recollection, and it was at my church, and I went to confession, and I spoke to my priest, and I said, do you know of where I could get a statue? And he said, oh, why don't you try Catholic Supply? And I'm like, okay. Like, I had been there 3 times in the past 3 or 4 weeks and nothing. And, it's expensive too, good quality, but expensive. So I just said, okay, thank you, and I ended up going home. My mom offered to watch my daughter the next morning. My cousin, who struggled with depression a lot at the time, she called me and said, hey, would you want to go to lunch tomorrow? Which I thought was weird. And so we went to lunch. Long story short, we ended up at Catholic Supply. And right when we opened the door, and my cousin knew exactly the statue. I mean, I even tried drawing it out for her at times just to explain to her what I was seeing. Right when we opened the door, about 10 feet in front of us was this beautiful statue. And it didn't have a price tag, which usually is a bad sign. And I asked the lady, and she didn't know what it was or how much it was. And she's like, I need to go find a smaller version of it, and then I'll see what it is. But yeah, we just got those in, and I'm going to figure this out for you. So she went over, she found a little one, looked it up in the database. She said, oh, it's Our Lady Help of Christians. And she's like, yeah, it's 50% off today. And I thought, awesome. So I called my husband. He's like, get the card, grab it, bring her home. So I did that, and it fit perfectly. It was beautiful. It was exactly what, I felt like I was told to get. And, it was funny too, because in one of the messages, she said that she is, a mother of all of her children, no matter the race, no matter the religion. And she said that this grotto would become a place of prayer and a place of conversion. And, and I'm not saying just to the Catholic faith, but a conversion of heart, a conversion of, we need to grow in our faith and love for Jesus and for others. So I just remember thinking, like, am I supposed to call everybody to the Catholic faith? And I love my faith. I love that we have Mary and the saints and the Eucharist. I love that. But it's like, I felt that Mary was saying, bring them to me, and Jesus will meet them where they are, and he will convert them. Like, he will take them where he wants them to go. Because people will always say, oh, Jesus meets you where you are, and you're fine just the way you are. And that is true, but he also wants you to grow, and he wants you to seek the truth, and he wants you to, continuously, I don't want to say walk up the ladder, but I guess do that. So I told my mom, is that bad that I feel like I just want to help, everybody, not just Catholics? And she said, Kate, if that's what Our Lady is telling you, then, so when it ended up being Our Lady Help of Christians, we just thought that was so beautiful, because we are living in the times now of, total Christian persecution, and it's going to get much worse. And, this specific title, she was given this title over a miracle that happened that had to do with the Muslim Turks taking over. And here we are again, and we've got major issues. And, we do believe that it's Our Lady's heart that will triumph during this period of cleansing. So this grotto, it's Our Lady Help of Christians. And one time she did say that, people of all races and religions would come and pray. And I thought, who's going to want to come to a Catholic or to a Marian grotto, especially if they're not Catholic. And the next day I had a dear friend call, and she said that she had a friend that had just gone through some pretty traumatic things with her husband, brain tumor, I think it was, and she wanted to come to the grotto and pray. She had heard about the stories, and she wanted to pray. And I said, oh, okay, is she Christian, Catholic? She goes, actually, she's Jewish. And I thought, okay. So it's just funny. It's everything I was told in messages over the years, just they continue to come to fruition. And we all need to do that. As we grow in our faith and we feel that God places things on our heart, we need to pray and discern. And, I highly recommend getting a spiritual director too, because we need someone to really help us in that, especially if we're not good with discernment, which in the beginning, I wasn't. I didn't even know what discernment meant really. So, as this grotto continued, the stories, the little miracles that happened, the prayer evenings that have taken place, things like that, it's been wonderful. And I remember very well, Our Lady said to have this grotto blessed, and she told me to go to her most holy shepherds, and she told me the priest's name, and I did not know him very well at all. And I went, and I had to share all my messages, which was really hard to do because I didn't want him to be like, this is all in your head. These are major red flags. This is against doctrine, but at the same time, I wanted to know. So I shared everything, and he just said, we need to wait and see the fruits of this. And so far, so good. I don't see red flags. This is good. Just keep going. And so I did, and I asked him, I said, it's Mary, Help of Christians, and the feast day is May 24th. And I had finished in November of 2013. So he agreed to bless the grotto. And when he came here, he said, I just want to let you know that today is a very special day. And he said, I've never missed the ordination, the deacons when they become priests. I've never missed that mass. And it was scheduled for 2 weeks ago, but at the last minute they changed it. So it's actually today, and I'm missing it. And I'm like, I am so sorry. You could have canceled. Like, this is such a small ordeal. And he just said, no, my receptionist told me that she would find a replacement for me and fill in. And he said, I just told her, nope, I gave Kate my word. And today is my own anniversary of becoming a priest. And I guess Our Lady wants me here, or wants me there, as in the grotto. So it was a beautiful, beautiful time, ceremony, whatever you want to call it. We prayed the rosary. 125, 130 people showed up. Everybody brought stuff to help. I was so nervous to invite people. I didn't want to ask for help. And through the messages, she said, this is their opportunity to partake in what's going on. So if, I'm going to send you help, but you need to accept it. And as a perfectionist, I had a hard time doing that. But each time I said, no, that's okay, I got it, I kept thinking of the message that I got, and it was like, change my mind. That would be great. Thank you. And thank God I accepted everybody on their offers to help, because it just went off. It went beautifully. And the only thing I had time to do that morning was get my children ready and myself ready and walk to the end of my property. So it's a good thing that I accepted help, because I would have failed miserably, like I often do when I try to do things all on my own. So, she said, I know that you think when this grotto is blessed that your work is over, but my daughter, it is just beginning. Your work is just beginning. And I didn't know what that meant at first, but over time, she was telling me that there would be people praying at the grotto, that there would be, just different things. And that too has happened. So, is it Lourdes? Is it Fatima? Are people getting miraculously cured the second they walk on my property? No. But for whatever reason, God is wanting me to do this. He's wanting me to create this special place and to invite other families to come and pray and to kind of, build that relationship with others in our community. And so I'm doing it. And I know for a fact that Our Lady is calling all of you to build these places of prayer too. It's like we hear, build it and they will come. If you build a place of prayer, your family will pray more. Your family it will be the place to go. I never thought it would be, but it's where everything is. It's where all the little creatures ended up being, in the spring, the frogs, the tadpoles, the all of them. And my kids love that stuff. So they're always at the grotto. They're, overturning all of my rocks that I put out, and they're trying to get all these little creatures. And anytime we take four-wheeler rides, we've got to stop and say hello and pray. And when we're happy, sad, depressed, angry, you name it, we're down there, as a family and with other families. And the reason we're having so much destruction now in our society, in our world, is because we're taking God out of it. So if we want to fix that, it needs to start within our own family. We need to strengthen our own families. So what better way than to create a special place for your family to pray and to gather? So for your homework, I talked a couple episodes ago about maybe praying about whether or not you're supposed to build this special place of prayer, whether it be in your home, or you don't have to have a life-size statue in your yard. You don't have to do that. It can be in your closet. It can be anywhere, but just do it, and then try to commit to really praying as a family. So for today, that's what I kind of want you to do. I want you to revisit that prayer where you prayed, or hopefully you did, and ask the Lord, am I supposed to build this? And if I am, help me do it. And really just try to just, even if it's putting a cross on the wall and a couple chairs around it, just do that. Just keep it simple. Our Lady loves simplicity. We find joy in simplicity. And, we're called to grow in our faith as families. So, thank you for watching. Have a good day.